Greetings from Los Angeles, California. My name is Steve Hodel. Today's presentation is titled LAPD Detective III's Harry Bosch and Steve Hodel, Some Synchronicities, or How I Learned to Do the Bossa Nova. I have to admit I rarely read mystery novels, with one major exception, those written by best-selling author Michael Connelly. Prior to 2003, I had never heard of Michael Connelly. My first awareness of Connelly's writings came in 2003, post-publication of my book, Black Dahlia Avenger, when the two of us were scheduled to speak at the 2003 ButcherCon convention in Vegas. That same year, Michael had been nominated as president of the Mystery Writers of America and would preside over the upcoming Edgar Awards in New York City. My first book, Black Dahlia Avenger, was one of the 6 nominees in the running for an Edgar Award in the True Fact category that year. Shortly after the publication of my book in 2003, unbeknownst to me, my publisher, Dick Seaver at Arcade Books, to my surprise and pleasure, had approached Michael Connelly asking for a review. Connelly provided my publisher with the following review. I quote from Connelly, quote, "Los Angeles is the construct of its mythologies, good and bad, fact and fiction. The legend of Elizabeth Short is one of the most enduring. But now Steve Hodel has come to put the Black Dahlia painfully to rest. With the tenacity and patience of the veteran homicide detective he once was, Hodel goes from odd coincidence to rock-solid conclusion, taking us on the intriguing and unsettling journey every step of the way. Hodel's investigation is thoroughly and completely convincing. So too is this book. As far as I'm concerned, this case is closed. Elizabeth Short's legend is now shared with a killer who has been pulled from the shadows of time and into the light. Everybody counts or nobody counts, and that includes the people shrouded in our myths. Steve Hodel knows this, and now we do too." Michael Connelly, 2003. Based on those two upcoming meetings in 2003, the Edgar Awards and ButcherCon, and never having read any of his novels, I figured the least I could do was read one of Michael Connelly's books. But which one? I threw a dart, landed on The Last Coyote. Picked up a copy and read it nonstop. I was hooked. I went back and began reading his novels chronologically, and as of this writing, 2020, I am just completing his 34th, I believe, novel, and happily awaiting the publication of Fair Warning, which I've pre-ordered and should receive any day now. In my opinion, Michael Connelly is the best police procedural writer on the planet. He's got it down to near perfection. His character, Ronimus Harry Bosch, is my hero. He's an out-of-the-box thinking detective who plays it straight, has a high solve rate, and gets it right most of the time, but occasionally screws up. What's not to love? But I have to admit, Connelly has created a character whose biography so closely mimics my own on so many levels that I cannot help but identify with Harry. As you review the following comparisons, keep in mind, while Connelly has publicly indicated that Harry Bosch, quote, is a composite of several real-life individuals, along with some fictional characteristics of his own, end quote, I, Steve Hodel, am not one of those individuals. To my knowledge, Connelly, while giving my book one of my favorite author blurbs, still, he did not know me, and it's doubtful that he'd ever heard of me before publication of my book in 2003. I retired from LAPD in 1986 after nearly 24 years of service. Connelly didn't publish his first novel, The Black Echo, until 1992. Okay, hit the Twilight Zone music. as we together check out a few of the reasons why I have a bit of an identity crisis with my good friend, Detective Hieronymus Harry Bosch. Harry will tell you there are no coincidences. Steve would, for the most part, agree. So, for the moment, let's just call these synchronicities. So let's begin. Synchronicity number 1. Steve Hodel was born with his twin brother John at Queen of Angels Hospital in Los Angeles, California. Harry Bosch was born at Queen of Angels Hospital, Los Angeles, California. Number 2. Harry's mother named Harry after the Dutch painter and artist Hieronymus Bosch, who lived 1450 to 1516. He was known for his fantastical style of art. Steve's mother named him after a character, Stephen de Lesson, created by her favorite author, James Joyce, in his best-selling novel, A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. And also, his name featured that character in the sequel, Ulysses. Sync 3. Harry Bosch was sent to McLaren Hall and temporary foster homes from Hollywood in his youth due to his mother's repeated arrests by law enforcement. Bosch placed in protective custody and foster homes due to his mother's child neglect and alcoholism. Steve Hodel was also sent to McLaren Hall and temporary foster homes from Hollywood in his youth due to his mother's repeated arrests by law enforcement, also for alcoholism and child neglect. Synchronicity number 4. Harry Bosch joined the U.S. Army at 17, requiring his foster parents' signature to enlist. He quit before graduating from high school and obtained his GED, General Education Diploma, in the military. Steve Hodel joined the U.S. Navy at 17, requiring his mother's signature, quit before graduation, and obtained his GED in the Navy. Harry Bosch owned a home high up in the Hollywood Hills and had multiple marriages. We see his home there in the graphic on the left, as pictured in the story. Steve Hodel owned a home in the Hollywood Hills and had multiple marriages. We see his home in the graphic here on the right. Synchronicity 6. Harry joined LAPD at the age of 21, and after 5 years in uniform patrol, he promoted to detective and remained there for his entire career. Steve Hodel joined the LAPD at age 21. After 5 years in patrol, promoted to detectives and remained till the end of his career in detectives. Number 7. Harry Bosch, after leaving after 5 years in patrol, was assigned to LAPD's Hollywood Detective Division at 1358 North Wilcox in Hollywood. Hodel, after his 5 years in uniform patrol, was assigned to LAPD's Hollywood Detective Division, Division number 6 at 1358 North Wilcox Avenue. In this graphic on the left, we see the Bosch television crew shooting an episode in front of Hollywood Station. And on the right, we see myself being interviewed by reporter Daniel Vasquez in front of the Hollywood Police Station for an article he and his wife did in 2018, I believe. I would highly recommend this article. It was an amazing 7,000 word piece for the South Pasadena newspaper, and if you get a chance, you can read it online. They did amazing. It deals with my Black Dahlia Avenger 3 and the new evidence just turned up in 2018. Massive amount of more linkage to the crime. Number 8. Harry Bosch promoted to Detective 3 during his career and attained the highest rank in detectives, D3, and conducted numerous major homicide investigations at Hollywood Division. Steve Hodel promoted to Detective 3 and conducted numerous major homicide investigations, actually over 300 during my 14 years at Hollywood Detectives. And another additional 3 from Rampart after I made D3. Number 9. Harry Bosch drives a dark-colored Ford Crown Vic deluxe model on his investigations on LAPD. Steve Hodel drives a light-colored Ford Crown Vic deluxe model on his investigations. Number 10. Harry and his partners at Hollywood Homicide had one of the highest solve clearance rates in LAPD, and they were possessed with a strong disdain for any abuse of power. Steve and his partners at Hollywood Homicide had one of the highest solve clearance rates in LAPD history and were possessed of a strong disdain for any abuse of power. Hollywood Homicide solve rate was consistently 80 to 90%, as opposed to the city's average, which was around 50 to 60% in those days. Here we see a chart, percent of homicides solved by FBI statistics. It goes from 1965 to 2013, I think. And it's a kind of a sad statement. We see the clearance rate dropping from the 80s, 90s, all the way down to the 60s. It's a sad thing to see, and there are a whole bunch of reasons for that, but hopefully that'll turn around. Number 11. Harry Bosch retired from LAPD and got his California PI license, became a private investigator, and he went to work in criminal defense cases for top attorneys in Los Angeles. His old LAPD partners would say that he went to the dark side. Steve Hodel retired from LAPD and became a PI, got my California license, and working for criminal defense attorneys, their cases in the LA area. Some of my old partners said that I went to the dark side. In the series, Harry has a daughter, a teenage daughter. Her name is Maddie. In real life, I have my youngest son is named Maddie. She spells hers M-A-D-D-I, and my son spells his M-A-T-T-I. Number 13. Hieronymus is the Latin form of the male name Jerome, but Connelly has written he used the nickname Harry for the character rather than Jerry, as a tribute to Dirty Harry Callahan, the police officer played in a series of films by Clint Eastwood. At my promotion party when I made D3 at Hollywood in 1983, I was presented an autographed photo by Clint Eastwood of his fictional character Dirty Harry, which reads, quote, "Congrats to Dirty Steve, best Dirty Harry, Clint Eastwood." And here at number 14 is a final synchronicity. This one comes from a reader, Brian Weatherby, which he sent me by email back on April 6, 2016. I'll read direct quote from it. "Steve, add this to your similarities between Harry Bosch and yourself. Both discovered LAPD cover-up of murder and likely serial murder relating to his family decades after the fact. Bosch, his mother's likely killer, was a drug informant that had an untouchable status and was relocated. George, Dr. George Hill Hodel, had a de facto untouchable status and got out of the country before the DA caught and arrested him." Well, I've enjoyed spending the last 15 minutes giving you a little, perhaps you get a little better idea now why I have this identification problem with Harry Bosch. It was fun doing it, and I really enjoyed it. And as I sign off, let me introduce you to a good friend of mine. He's one of my best buds, and his name is Herman H. He's kind of an all-around good guy and helps me out with the editing and just hangs out with me a lot of the time. He wanted to pass on a message to everybody to be sure to wear a mask, save a life, your own or somebody else's. And let me close with a really big thank you to all the first responders out there, policemen, firemen, medical staff, nurses, doctors. You're doing a wonderful job, and God bless you.